Sell your car. Your brother's loan isn't going to pay itself, my father said after raising my rent by 80%. Funny, he gets the loan and I get the bill, I replied. On his big day, I handed him a gift. 30 days to vacate. Sell your car, Javier said without looking up from his tablet. Nicholas's loan isn't going to pay itself. I stopped halfway to the fridge, frozen, the orange juice bottle still in my hand. Excuse me. He looked up as if I were the dramatic one. Your brother is trying to get his business off the ground. He has a lot on his shoulders right now, and I abruptly let go. Rosa sighed from behind the stove. You're an IT, Alejandro. You earn well. All Nicholas needs is a little support. There it was. Support, that word they always used when they really meant money. I closed the fridge and leaned against the counter. You just raised my rent by 80%. Remember? Javier waved his hand as if I were exaggerating. And you still pay less than anywhere else. You're right, I replied flatly. Raise it another 80% and call it a charity drive. Rosa clicked her tongue. Don't be sarcastic. Nicholas is your brother. Yes, I agreed. He is. He's also 30 years old, lives rent-free in the basement, and hasn't worked a full-time job in 2 years. But sure, let's shake me down. Silence. Uncomfortable. Heavy. Then Javier, unfazed. He's always been bad with money. Right, because I apparently don't work. I didn't say it out loud, but I was dying to. I've been struggling since college. Working full-time, freelancing nights, no debt, no vacations, no bullshit. My car paid off, my savings hard-earned. I sacrificed social life, sleep, and any semblance of balance to get ahead. Nicholas dropped out of 2 degrees, got scammed by a crypto mentor, and is now launching a brand, which apparently means playing Xbox until 3 a.m. and tweeting motivational quotes occasionally. You said I could stay here for a year, I said. Save up, get ahead. I have. And now you raise my rent and want me to sell my car for Nicolás. He's your brother, Rosa repeated as if it were a sacred word. I stared at them, then laughed. I'll think about it, I said quietly. Javier nodded firmly, as if everything was resolved. Good. I knew you wouldn't let us down. I didn't reply. I just went back to my room, closed the door and sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the floor. I had no idea, no fucking clue what I'd already decided, no idea what was coming. Let's just say, on Nicholas's big day, I was going to give him something, a surprise, not the one they were expecting. But before we get to that, you have to understand how we got here, because this wasn't about one unpleasant breakfast conversation. It was about years of unspoken expectations, of me giving and them taking until I forgot what it felt like to live for myself. Nicholas's big day was just the final spark. The fire had started long before. When I moved back home after college, it was supposed to be temporary. Just a year, Javier had said. Save up a bit, get settled, then you'll be on your feet. That was 3 years ago. Since then I'd paid rent, shared groceries, covered repairs when the pipes burst, and bailed Rosa out of her credit card surprises more times than I can remember. I never complained. I thought, maybe this is what responsible sons do. But what made it unbearable was the double standard. Nicholas, my younger brother, Nicholas had been finding himself for the last 5 years, which actually meant expensive hobbies and failed ventures that somehow always needed funding. Rosa would say, he just needs time. Javier would say, you're the older one, Alejandro. You have to set an example. But what example was there to set? I was already working 60-hour weeks in IT support, while Nicholas slept till noon and uploaded selfies from the couch with the hashtag grind mode. Let me paint you a picture. 2019. Nicholas wanted to build a dropshipping empire. I paid the LLC registration and Shopify fees. 2020 he pivoted to YouTube. I bought him a camera and a microphone. Just until the ad revenue starts coming in, he'd said. 2021. Crypto phase. That time I didn't give him money. He took out a 15,000 euros personal loan to invest. He lost it all in less than 2 months, and now apparently I should sell my car to cover the loan payments he couldn't afford. You want to know the worst part? I said no, and they acted like I was the villain. Nicholas isn't like you, Rosa said one night when I got home to find her and Javier sitting at the kitchen table, waiting for me like I was a teenager who'd come home late. He's sensitive, she continued. You have a job, a career. He has dreams.
Oh, I'm sorry, he replied.
Is he allergic to working? Don't be cruel, Javier jumped in. He's trying, but the stress of the loan is making him anxious. Then he should sell his PlayStation, I retorted. Maybe the anxiety will go away when he starts budgeting. Then Javier stood up. Enough with the sarcasm, and enough with the freeloading, I said. You raised my rent by 80% and he pays nothing? He's family, Rosa said. So am I. No one responded and it got worse. I started noticing little things. Nicholas's Glovo orders charged to the family card. A package addressed to me, opened and discarded on the floor. It was my new phone, the one for work. His girlfriend sleeping over 4 nights a week, eating our food and calling me uptight because yes, I pay for my things. And then came the last straw. It was a Sunday. I was in my room trying to nap before another night shift. Nicholas barged in without knocking. Hey, he said. Your credit score is good. I didn't sit up. Why? He laughed like it was obvious. I need to refinance my loan. Can I use your name? It would help with the interest. I stared at him. He was still smiling like he was asking me for a cup of sugar. You want me to co-sign your loan? Just temporarily, he replied. You have nothing to lose. You don't even use credit. Nothing to lose. Nothing. I stood up, walked past him and didn't say a single word. He followed me down the hallway. Wait, what's wrong? Are you mad? I didn't respond. Come on, man, he muttered. You always act like you're better than us just because you have money. You owe us. That word, owe. I owed them. Why? For feeding me as a child? For raising me in a house where love had conditions and praise was reserved for the one who failed loudest? They didn't raise a son, they created a resource. A silent ATM with limits they never intended to respect. That night something shifted in me. For the first time I didn't feel tired, I felt done. I didn't yell, I didn't threaten. I just started researching. Quietly. Patiently. Because if there's one thing I learned in IT, it's that the best way to destroy a system is from the inside. And the system here was my family. My mistake was thinking I was part of it. But I wasn't. I was the power supply and it was time to unplug. On Nicholas's big day, he expected balloons. But I had something else in mind. 30 days, a letter and no warning. But I'm getting ahead of myself. You'll see. Nicholas's big day was supposed to be some kind of celebration, a launch party, he called it, for his new brand. He'd printed t-shirts with some slogan that made no sense, created a media kit in Canva, and invited everyone he knew to our backyard as if he'd just gone public on the stock exchange. The night before, Javier asked if I could help set up the speakers. I told him no. You're not even coming? Rosa asked, standing in my doorway like I was grounded. It's your brother. It's his project, she replied. Go ahead and clap, I said. She didn't like that, but I didn't care anymore. They'd already crossed every line. I was just drawing the border. The morning of the event, I printed the documents. I sealed the envelope. I double-checked everything. 30 days. That's what the law gives in a formal eviction notice in our autonomous community. I did it by the book, every legal step followed because if I was going to burn this house down, I wanted the legal receipts in my hand. By noon, Nicholas was already in the backyard, preening in sunglasses and barking orders like a deranged stage director. I need music. Where's the playlist? He yelled into the air. Javier was manning the barbecue. Rosa was arranging plastic champagne flutes on a folding table like this was a royal wedding. I was in the kitchen watching through the window, sipping coffee from my mug that read, Problem Solver. Poetic, right? I waited until the guests arrived, until Nicholas stood before them with a borrowed microphone, talking about how hard work beats privilege, and how this journey was only possible thanks to his support system. I walked out just as the applause began. Envelope in hand, I walked straight towards him and handed it over. What's this? He asked, smirking. Your surprise, I said. You have 30 days. He laughed. 30 days for what? Javier was already approaching, frowning. Rosa froze mid-toast. To get out of the house, I said loud and clear. Not a tremor in my voice. The music stopped. Are you kidding me? Nicholas said, opening the envelope. I didn't reply. It's a formal notice. This property is mine. You're not a tenant, you're a liability. And I'm done. What is this, Alejandro?
Javier barked.
He can't just, yes, I can, I interrupted. You raised my rent by 80%. You asked me to sell my car to pay his debt, and you called it fair. This is neither the time nor the place, Rosa hissed. It's the perfect time, I said, because I want everyone to hear this. I turned to the audience. Family, neighbors, Nicholas's parasitic friends. For 3 years I paid the rent, the bills, and fixed the house while no one else lifted a finger. I bought the groceries while Nicholas bought microphones. I watched him fail at every idea, and you still made me the plan B. The safety net. The punching bag. Alejandro, you're exaggerating, Javier tried. Oh, am I? I turned to Nicholas. Last week you asked me, didn't you, to co-sign a loan for a business you haven't even launched? Nicholas flushed crimson. It was just an idea. Exactly, I snapped. You live on ideas. I live on actual work. I'm your brother, he shouted, trying to save face. You're supposed to help me. I did, I replied coldly. I helped you become someone who's never had to be accountable. But it's over.
Rosa gasped.
You can't talk to him like that. I looked her directly in the eye. You mean like how you spoke to me when you called me selfish for not selling my car? Or how you treated me like a wallet with legs? Javier stepped forward. You're embarrassing this family. I let out a laugh. This family is an embarrassment, and I'm not pretending anymore. Nicholas's voice cracked as he reopened the letter. You can't kick me out. You don't even own this house. Yes, I do, I said, pulling out my phone and opening the mortgage app. I showed the screen to Javier. I bought it 6 months ago. Solely in my name. You've been living rent-free on my dime. Silence. Dead. Beautiful. So, you didn't tell us?
Rosa whispered.
You didn't ask, I said. You just kept assuming I'd keep carrying you. I turned ready to go back inside. Oh, and by the way, I added, looking over my shoulder. Don't worry about the rent. I'm waiving it for the next 30 days. After that, if anyone's still here, I'll let the sheriff do the talking. And with that, I walked into the house, closed the door behind me, and finally breathed. After the explosion in the backyard, the house settled into a stunned silence. No one said anything for the rest of the day. Rosa locked herself in her room with a bottle of wine. Javier sat at the kitchen table, immobile, like a war veteran reliving the trauma. Nicholas slammed his door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. And me? I blasted music, locked my door, and took the deepest nap of my adult life. For the first time in years, I didn't feel exhausted. I felt dangerous. The silence didn't last. On the 4th day after the notice, I caught Javier rifling through my mail at the dining room table. Bank statements, mortgage papers, legal forms. He didn't even flinch. We just want to understand our options, he said. You can't be serious about kicking out your own family. I raised an eyebrow. Your family, or the ones who raised my rent, told me to sell my car, and expected me to subsidize Nicholas's entrepreneurial dreams like I was Silicon Valley and sneakers? It's not like that, he mumbled. This house was always ours. Spiritually, I snorted. You're spiritual squatters now. He didn't respond. Instead, Rosa appeared, holding a folded piece of paper. She placed it carefully on the table like it was a peace offering. It was a list: groceries, utilities, expenses, everything I'd been silently paying for years. This is what we owe you, she said. We want to make it right. But you have to talk to Nicholas. My face hardened. Oh, I'll talk to him. But not with words. That night, someone knocked on the door. To my surprise, it wasn't more family drama. It was Clara, Nicholas's ex. She looked different, calmer, like someone who just crawled out of a fire. I heard about what happened, she said, holding a folder. I opened the door without speaking. He told me you offered to be his co-signer, she continued. It's a lie. I was the original co-signer, but 2 months ago he switched the paperwork. I took the folder from her hands and froze. Nicholas had forged my name, my email, my phone number. He'd used my credit history without asking, without telling me. My jaw tightened. So he lied to me and the bank. She nodded. You need to know how deep this goes. He's been lying to everyone, even himself. I called my lawyer. We went over the documents. Every signature, every trail of fake emails. You have legal grounds to press charges, he told me. Forgery, identity theft, possibly fraud, depending on what he did with the money. I stared at the screen. My brother hadn't just used me, he'd impersonated me. And the worst part? No one stopped him. Not my parents, not even the bank itself. The next day I called a family meeting. A last supper. They came reluctantly. Javier was tense. Rosa clutched a tissue. Nicholas sat with his eyes downcast, not daring to look at me. I placed the folder on the table. Let's skip the salad, I said. Nicholas, you used my name to secure your loan. You forged my identity. Rosa gasped. That can't be true. Review the documents, I said, pushing them towards them. It's all there. Emails, call logs, signatures, legally verified.
Nicolás Stammered.
It was only temporary. I was going to tell you. No, you weren't. I cut him off. You were going to leave me holding your debt while you played CEO in a hoodie. Javier tried to speak, but I stopped him with a look. I already spoke to a lawyer. If Nicholas isn't gone in 10 days, and that loan isn't cleared in 30, I'm pressing charges. Nicholas's face crumpled. You're going to ruin my life. You already ruined your credit, I replied. I'm just protecting mine. That night he disappeared.
No gudbie, no epalegi.
He left the house like a thief in reverse, taking nothing but the chaos he'd created. A few days later, I was making coffee when Rosa walked into the kitchen silent. She left a small envelope next to my mug. Inside was a handwritten note. We never knew how much you were carrying. We don't ask you to forgive us, but we see it now. I read it, folded it, said nothing. Not yet. And just when I thought it was all over, another surprise arrived. A letter, actual paper with no return address. Alejandro, it read. I know this is strange, but my company has an opening in Seville. Systems analyst. Includes housing assistance. I know you're probably tired of cleaning up messes, but this could be a new start. Your real start. If you're ready. I sat back. I stared at the words. Seville. A city where no one knew my name, or how much I'd paid just to survive under the roof I once called home. I closed the envelope and smiled. They took my peace for granted. I took back everything else. Now I had a choice, and for the first time it was mine. Sometimes I still hear it. The sound of Javier shuffling bills, sighing dramatically. The guilt-laden silence Rosa wielded like a weapon. Nicholas's voice echoing down the hallway. You're supposed to help me. You're my brother. It used to haunt me. Now it reminds me why I left. 2 weeks after Nicholas disappeared, the house felt wrong. Quiet in a fake way. Like after a storm, when everything is eerily still but you know another one is coming. My parents tried to pretend things were going back to normal, but nothing was normal. They tiptoed around me like I was a bomb they weren't sure had fully detonated yet. Every morning, I'd hear the soft murmur of their voices in the kitchen. Bills. Groceries. Repairs. Things I used to handle without question. And for the first time I let them sink in it. Not because I hated them, but because they needed to feel it. The absence of me. 3 days before the move-out deadline, I came home and found Javier waiting by my Porsche. He wasn't yelling. Not this time. He looked smaller. I'm looking at rental apartments, he said quietly. Most places want pay stubs, credit checks. It's been a while since I've done this. I nodded. You'll figure it out. He didn't argue. He didn't blame me. He didn't mention Nicholas. It was the first honest conversation we'd had in years. The day they left, Rosa handed me a casserole dish of homemade food and an old worn envelope. It's not much, she said. But it's something. Inside the envelope, 480 euros in cash. I didn't take it. I didn't need it. That casserole sat in the fridge for 3 weeks untouched, until I finally threw it away. But the gesture that stayed with me. Nicholas never contacted me. No apology, no explanation, just a post on his new Instagram page. Him in a co-working space, #King, typing away, still selling the same dream. He'd rebranded himself as a resilience coach. Resilience? Resilience from what? From ever being accountable? The post had 8 likes. I didn't even give him the 9th. You'd think that would be the end of it. But a month later, I got a Facebook message request from Marina, a friend of Clara's Nicholas's ex. I saw your story on Reddit, she wrote. I just wanted you to know what you did. It helped more people than you realize. A lot of us have a Nicholas in our lives. We needed to see someone win. I read that message 3 times. Not because I didn't believe it, but because it was the first time someone saw me not as the villain but as a survivor. 2 weeks later I packed my bags. I took the offer in Seville. Started over. New job, new apartment, no parasites, no random BISM requests, no dinners with guilt disguised as affection, no fake family meetings that ended with, "You should help Nicholas more." And yet, sometimes I found myself opening my old banking app out of habit, checking if anyone had borrowed again without permission, looking for that weight I used to carry. But there was nothing. Just my money, my balance, my life. And that's when I understood it. They never loved the real me. They loved the version of me that made their lives easier. The reliable one, the responsible one, the one who never said no, the ATM with legs, the surrogate parent, the financial backup plan. And the second I stopped being that, they called me selfish, ungrateful, cruel. But now, sitting in a Seville cafe with my laptop open and no messages begging for help, I finally feel what they wanted most: freedom. I paid off the house, sold it, invested the rest. I keep a framed copy of the eviction notice in my drawer, not out of spite, but as a reminder. A reminder that setting boundaries isn't betrayal. That walking away doesn't make you evil. That saying no can save your life. People ask me if I miss them. The holidays, the family barbecues, the supposed togetherness. I tell them no. I don't miss family. I miss the idea of family. What I had was debt wrapped in love bombs. Conditional loyalty with invisible strings attached. I don't miss it one bit. And if you're reading this and you're their version of me, the silent payer, the uncomplaining sacrificer, the one who always says yes, you're not crazy. You're not heartless. You're not selfish. You're just tired. And maybe, just maybe, it's time you gave yourself what you've been giving them for years: freedom. Because I'll tell you what no one told me. Being the villain in their story is worth it, if it means finally being the hero in your own.